So what if you could look at your life not just as a string of random events, but as a masterpiece just waiting for you to create it? We're going to dive into a really powerful framework from our source text that suggests exactly that.
It all kicks off with this beautiful metaphor. The source says that every single one of us is like a raw, uncut gem. The idea is that all our potential is already inside us, but it takes real, conscious effort, that cutting and polishing, to reveal something truly amazing.
Okay, but let's be real for a second. This immediately brings up a huge question, right? If we're just this raw material getting bumped and knocked around by the world, how much say do we really have in how we turn out?
To answer that, our source says we first need to get our heads around this huge, cosmic idea it calls inevitability.
So what is it? Well, basically, it's the principle that everything in the universe is operating according to this deep underlying order. It's not just random chaos out there. There's a system, a set of natural laws that governs the whole shebang. I mean, think about it on the biggest scale imaginable. Galaxies aren't just drifting around aimlessly. They are moving along these set paths, following the unchangeable laws of physics for billions and billions of years.
And that very same inevitable order is at work right here on our own planet, where winter, without fail, always gives way to spring.
And it even applies to us, to human history. The source suggests that the rise and fall of great empires wasn't just a series of historical accidents, but the predictable result of this much larger unseen order playing out.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, galaxies, empires, what does any of this have to do with me? Well, the source argues that this inevitability directly shapes our personal lives in some very specific ways.
And here's where this huge concept gets super personal. We're talking about the fundamental givens of your life, the things you just can't change, like the family you were born into, the dreams you have when you're asleep, or the simple, inescapable fact that we all get older. And the insight here is really powerful. When you accept what you can't change, you free up all your energy to focus on what you can.
And that's exactly why, when faced with this list of things we can't control, the text doesn't say we should give up. It's the opposite. It shows us a path forward. See, acknowledging what's unchangeable is the very first step to gaining true mastery over what is changeable.
It basically frames our lives as a choice between two ways of being. You can live in the kingdom of necessity, where you're just a product of your circumstances, constantly reacting to these inevitable forces. Or you can strive for the kingdom of freedom, where you live a life of intention, where you become the artist shaping your own existence.
So how do you cross from one kingdom to the other? Well, that bridge is a process the source calls cultivation. And this is the real work. It's that conscious, active, and, sometimes difficult process of taking that raw gem of yourself and intentionally cutting and polishing it into something truly valuable and beautiful.
All right, so we're doing all this work, this polishing and cultivating, but what's the point? What's the final masterpiece we're actually trying to create here?
The destination is a state the source calls perfect humanity. And it's so important to get this. This isn't about being flawless or never making mistakes, not at all. It's about developing these deep inner qualities, like finding inner peace, having unwavering integrity, and feeling a real, profound connection to the world around you.
So, how in the world do you start a journey like that? Well, according to the source, it all begins with one single foundational principle.
Out of all of those conditions we just saw, all the virtues you could possibly chase, what does the text say is the absolute first step? The one thing that has to come before anything else?
And there it is. The entire path to freedom, the entire process of cultivation is built on a foundation of reverence. The idea is that before you can really start working on yourself, you first have to acknowledge and respect the magnificent, orderly system that you're a part of.
Reverence is the absolute key. It's about acknowledging a force that's so much bigger than our own individual worries and struggles. It's the very source of that inevitability we talked about at the beginning. And here's the profound point. We can't control the cosmic laws, but we can choose to align ourselves with them. And it's in that alignment, that's where we find our real freedom.
And that brings us right back to the core message, full circle. The stone itself is a given. The circumstances of your birth, the inevitable twists and turns of fate, that's just your raw material. But the cultivation, the polishing, the final masterpiece, that part is your choice. That is your creation.